Knight have just released patch number 3 for Sons of the Forest, and this one is absolutely awesome with some really cool new features, loads of improvements, a big ton of bug fixes. It is a good one. If you are a fan of Sons of the Forest, make sure you subscribe to the channel and drop a like on the video because that is what we cover here quite regularly. Now, we'll start off with what the team have said. This patch will add a new rideable EUC Night V, pronounced the Night 5, a pair of night vision goggles, new spring traps that will launch enemies, and it brings a first look at solar power with light bulbs, solar panels, and a load of new stuff like that to the building system with loads of bugs and fixes. Please continue to post bug reports and feedback in the discussions area of the community hub. So if you do have any issues with any of the updates on Sons of the Forest or any issues in general, make sure you go over to the Steam page and post them in the community hub. That is where the devs check the most. So, as we've just mentioned, for the features, there's loads of awesome new ones, including the rideable Night 5, night vision goggles, solar panels, light bulbs, and wiring, along with ramps and stairs that can now be built between beams and walls, a buildable spring trap, finally a working armor rack, and they've added options to delete saves, and also limited the save slots to 30, which will fix any issues with your Steam Cloud syncing. So, for the new features, they are pretty damn cool. The rideable EUC, which I think is an electric bike, from what I've seen, I can't find it. I'm not too sure where it is. Now, night vision goggles, they're okay. Not a big fan, really. There's a bit of a bug, I think. You can use the L, so like a light, once you've got them equipped. But then if you use that, it flashes your screen, and it does my eyes in. So I don't really use that. I don't know if that's a bug or not, but you get a big white flash all of a sudden when you take them off. When they're on, they're okay. They're better in caves than they are out in the open. The solar panels and the electric system, absolutely brilliant. Ramps and stairs being built between beams and walls, pretty cool anyway. The spring trap, absolutely amazing. It is so much fun just launching cannibals off. The armor rack is just brilliant. I'm glad that they've added that now because you can just add that little touch to your base just to make it look a little bit cooler. So overall, the new features, loads and loads of fun. I do have a bit more of a detailed video on the electricity side of things going out just after this one. So for people that are struggling with that. But the easy way to do it is electricity, solar panels and light bulbs can be found in the grey boxes that you'd find dotted around the world and in bunkers as well. They're easy to get hold of, really. I'm spawning them pretty damn quick. Pretty much every box that I've opened so far has had a solar panel or a light bulb in. So very happy with that. Alongside that, there is a massive ton of improvements, including dead babies now have buoyancy in water. That's not something I thought I'd have to say on a Thursday evening, but there we are. Mr. and Mrs. Puffton's clothes now burn up when they are burned. They've added security camera models to the luxury bunker entrances. And also, cannibal lookout towers and large huts are now breakable, so you'll be able to break those down and get the resources, or just, knock those pesky mutants out of their towers. They've also adjusted navigation areas by lakes to fix issues with stuck animals and characters around the edges, which, if you are a day one player, you will definitely know the problem with Kelvin getting stuck in a ledge, especially when it comes to winter and things freeze over. It can be a bit of a pain in the arse. You can now pick up and throw puffy dead bodies. Dismembering dead characters with melees is now much easier, as beforehand it was a little bit of a problem. When you were hitting them, you could just occasionally hit the floor, or just continue to hit the body until absolutely nothing would happen. It was very hard to actually dismember them and get the arms and legs out of them. There's also been a massive adjustment to creepy spawning logic in caves, and they no longer visibly spawn and should not lead to over-the-top amounts of enemies in caves over time. Which is a shame, because I think a lot of enemies in caves was definitely fun. It was tough, but it was fun. They've also increased the enemy base attack logic, so being able to defend your base is now going to be a little bit more difficult, because they're going to use a hell of a lot more intelligence to come at you, which is very cool. Enemy damage game settings is now properly replicated to clients in multiplayer. Kelvin's return to shelter command will now also return to hunting shelters and beds. Kelvin will now pick up all types of arrows and visibly carry them and drop the proper type of arrow. The fly swatter and bone maker traps will no longer trigger on small animals, which is a shame because they they were good. You know, you get yourself a little animal just from any traps. They've improved the morgue lighting in the residential bunker and added dead cultists. They've also added flower wreaths to some dead cultists and world position fixer to block the players going outside of bounds of the world on X and Z. They've also added a quarter resolution minimap limit option to set book pages to use it to prevent them becoming unreadable with low texture settings. Set rocks and sticks and small rocks to disable colliders when they are not dynamic. They've fixed the player clothing blend shapes, and they were not always applying visually to other players in multiplayer. Tarps and turtle shells will now show their item count in the inventory, and renamed the mannequin to the armor rack. They've changed the amount of duct tape required to build the armor rack, and added shimmy area after the boss fight in the Hell Cave. Okay, so that's going to make it a little bit more difficult to just sprint past him. We're obviously going to have to get into a very tight area and shimmy past, and that way he won't be able to follow us, along with the smaller demons that tend to run around and cause a little bit of a problem. It's also possible to leave the Hell Cave if re-entering it after completing the game, and the rope climb trigger for caves is now accessible from a wider angle. Creepies will now be hidden if they manage to wander into any cutscenes, and Virginia will now stash guns when carrying a gift and drop the gift when entering combat. Balanced out a few of the cannibal activities, with the cannibal ability to dodge heavy attacks has been massively increased, and increased the John 2 damage to structures. John 2 is just a normal cannibal, one of the normal cannibals, and enemies will now flee much further when they are scared. There's also been a hell of a load of fixes, which is nice. I love a load of fixes. There's 28 in total, so we'll go over a few of the larger ones here, which most of the cases of enemies spawning into bases alongside animals has now been reduced. Hopefully that won't happen as much. And also with the cannibal family spawning, there was a hell of a load of them spawning, and some people were getting a little bit overwhelmed, but now they've fixed that and lowered the maximum amount, so they won't spawn over that number now. There's also a slight delay over hovering over the exit confirm button, which has been fixed, which I found really, really annoying, especially when you're trying to do something or you're just trying to get something done quickly. Trying to get out of the menu could be a bit of a pain in the ass. They've also fixed animation pop in the puffy male walk aggressive loop, and fixed areas where players could get stuck in Hell Cave. Now a drop pack should properly spawn if the player saves and reloads before picking it up, and your grab bag should no longer get a player stuck in a bad state if it's opened and closed quickly. They've added a safety measure which will basically, when you reload the game, some people were getting issues with certain items being missing, so vital items like a combat knife, guidebook, grab bag, tracker, lighters, things like that. Now, as soon as you reload a save, if any of those items are missing, they will be replaced, which is good, because it was a bit of a pain in the arse, especially when your lighter went missing. That did happen on one of my saves. Luckily, I was early in when it happened, so I just cancelled the save. Because obviously lighting Molotovs, lighting the flame torch, you don't realise how much you actually use the lighter until you don't have it. So now that's good. And fish on drying racks no longer despawn when their max pickup count is reached. Items on a campfire no longer auto-despawn, so now they'll just burn out. Fixed some visual issues, decapitating heavy faceless cannibals and male puffies. They've also fixed multiplayer clients taking guns with multiple mods from Virginia and losing a mod. And another one for Virginia is some people are seeing multiple GPS locators for her, so now that has also been changed. And unfortunately, guys, for the stick crew out there, they have fixed an issue which you could glitch out of the map with a stick and then run around underneath the map, which it did make things a little bit easier. But they've now fixed that, so you can't glitch out. The once legendary stick is unfortunately losing that legendary status, which is a shame. And also the stun baton, when you are hitting and it gets interrupted, you sometimes get stuck and the sound effects will stay on. Now that has stopped as well. So hopefully a big chunk of the main things, I know there's quite a lot on there that I've listed. There are a few other little ones on there, but I've encountered a few of the bigger ones, so I thought I'd bring those ones up. And for the little ones, obviously down below in the description is the Steam page if you do want to check that out. But I have covered the majority of them there. So hopefully that is all well and good. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. If you have, please drop a like in the video, please subscribe to the channel, and stick around for much more Sons of the Forest content. We'll upload another video over the weekend going into a bit more detail over a few of the new items that have been added, so make sure you stick around for that. For now though, I've been Wired, you guys have been awesome, thank you for watching, and we'll see you very soon with some more Sons of the Forest.